All right, let's just dive right into this masterclass on caring for what is, hands down, one of the most famously indestructible houseplants on the planet, the ZZ plant. Whether you call it the Zanzibar gem, the Zuzu plant, or you want to get fancy with its scientific name, Zamioculcas zamiofolia, this explainer is going to be your ultimate guide.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by getting to know the ZZ plant. Then, tackle the big ones, light and water and soil and environment. After that, we'll hit troubleshooting, pruning and propagation, and wrap it all up with some pro tips.
Okay, part 1. Let's officially meet the ZZ plant and discover why it's so incredibly tough.
Now, because this plant is native to the dry grasslands of Eastern Africa, it has a brilliant survival mechanism. The absolute secret to unlocking perfect care for this guy comes down to understanding its anatomy, specifically the rhizome. Think of a rhizome like a thick, potato-like underground stem. It stores massive amounts of water, which is precisely why this plant can survive severe droughts. Honestly, it's why it seems to literally thrive on what feels like pure neglect.
Before we get into the actual daily care, there are just a few baseline facts you definitely need to keep in mind. First off, they have a really slow growth rate, so, patience is key here. They're perennial, meaning they'll stick around for years and years if you treat them right. But, and this is a big one, they are toxic to cats, dogs, and humans because of calcium oxalate crystals. So you absolutely have to place them strategically away from pets and kids. Also, they rarely bloom indoors, but if they ever do, you'll spot this little creamy white spadix. And finally, while the classic deep green is gorgeous, keep an eye out for some incredible varieties. You've got the Raven, which turns this dramatic near-black color, the compact Zenzi, some beautiful variegated types, and the Chameleon, which actually emerges bright yellow before fading to green. Really cool stuff.
Moving on to part 2, light and water. Let's master the non-negotiables.
Okay, so while the ZZ plant is totally famous for tolerating those sad, dark corners of your house, it actually grows best and fastest in medium to bright indirect light. Think near an east or north-facing window. Honestly, they even do remarkably well in interior offices that just rely on overhead fluorescent lights. But listen, beware of harsh, direct sunlight. Direct afternoon sun will literally scorch and burn those beautiful, glossy, waxy leaves, leaving you with faded patches and ugly brown spots. So keep it indirect. Now, when it comes to watering, the absolute crucial number you need to remember is 2 to 4. During the spring and summer growing season, you should only be watering every 2 to 4 weeks. Remember those potato-like rhizomes we talked about? Right, they are doing all the heavy lifting for you. You must wait until the soil is 100% dry from top to bottom before you even think about watering again. And in the dormant fall and winter months, you can probably stretch that to once a month, maybe even less. When you do water, give it a really thorough soak until water runs out the bottom, but never, ever let the pot sit in a saucer of water.
All right, let's slide into part 3, soil and environment. Let's get that potting setup perfected.
So, because those water-packed rhizomes absolutely hate sitting around in wet soil, a fast-draining mix is completely mandatory here. Here is your ideal recipe. 1 part all-purpose potting soil, 1 part cactus or succulent mix, and 1 part perlite or pumice to really ensure that sharp drainage. As for temperature and humidity, they basically require 0 extra effort. Standard indoor temps of 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit and your average household humidity of 40 to 50% are totally fine. So yeah, no misting, no complicated pebble trays required. And feeding? They're super light feeders. Just use a balanced liquid fertilizer, dilute it to half strength, and apply it maybe 2 or 3 times over the entire spring and summer. That's it.
But what happens when things go wrong? You wake up, you check your plant, and you find your beautiful green leaves are suddenly turning this sickly yellow. Well, this is probably the single most common question plant parents ask, which brings us right to part 4, troubleshooting. Let's figure out how to diagnose your plant's health.
There is a massive, stark difference between overwatering and underwatering a ZZ plant. If those leaves are turning yellow, especially down near the base, and the stems feel mushy, or worse, there's a foul smell coming from the damp soil, that is an overwatering emergency. That leads straight to deadly root rot. On the flip side, look at underwatering. The plant just gets slightly wrinkled, maybe some shriveled leaves or a little droop in the stems. This is not an emergency at all. It just means your plant is thirsty and it's going to bounce right back after a good soak.
Another potential headache, though honestly pretty rare for these guys, is pests. Thanks to those tough, waxy leaves, bugs generally just don't like the ZZ plant. But, scale insects, those little cotton-like mealybugs, aphids, or spider mites can occasionally show up if the plant gets super stressed. The fix is easy, though. Simply wiping the leaves down regularly with a damp cloth will help you spot and stop any of these invaders long before they spread. Plus, it keeps the foliage looking incredibly glossy.
Okay, let's level up. Part 5, pruning and propagation. Time to graduate to expert status.
So the absolute fastest and most reliable way to propagate your ZZ plant is by division. You can tackle this super easily during your plant's regular repotting cycle, which by the way should only happen every 2 to 3 years in the spring once it's really tightly root bound. You just remove the plant from its pot and gently pull or use a clean knife to cut the cluster of rhizomes apart. Just make sure each new little section has at least one stalk and a nice firm rhizome attached, and then pot them up in fresh, well-draining soil. Easy as that.
Now, what if you don't want to unpot the whole entire plant? Well, you can absolutely use a stem cutting. Just cut off an entire stalk right at the base, let it callus over for a few hours so it doesn't rot, and pop it into a jar of water. Just remember to change that water weekly. But I have to warn you, be prepared to wait. It takes many, many months for a new rhizome and roots to form in water before you can finally move it into soil, so patience is 100% required here.
Finally, part 6, pro tips. Let's go over the real secrets for long-term success.
These pro tips are super simple, but they're highly effective habits. First, always choose a pot that's only 1 to 2 inches larger than the root ball. Anything bigger, it's just going to hold way too much wet soil. Next, try to rotate your plant a quarter turn every single month. That stops it from leaning toward the light and gives you that nice, symmetrical, upright growth. Like we mentioned, keep wiping that dust off the leaves with a damp cloth. It actually maximizes photosynthesis. Also, don't stress over how slow it grows. That's just its nature. And finally, you never need to prune this plant to encourage bushier growth. Just use clean scissors to snip off any dead or yellowing stalks cleanly down at the soil line.
Look, if you only take away one single piece of advice from this entire explainer, let it be this golden rule. When in doubt, don't water. Seriously, the ZZ plant is an absolute survivor, perfectly built to withstand drought. If you aren't completely 100% sure if the soil is bone dry, just wait another week.
So, now that you know the anatomical secrets of the rhizome, the exact recipe for the perfect soil, and the incredible power of doing absolutely nothing when it comes to watering, how are you going to use this masterclass to build your own indestructible indoor jungle? Go find that perfect spot, take a step back, and just let your ZZ plant thrive.